Hey, Kerry and Michael here, and we're going to talk about what is your jewelry worth, and we're going to go off on tangents, I'm sure, on this subject. So, Grandma passed away, left you this ring with the original receipt, and maybe they had an appraisal last year for insurance purposes, and you need to settle the estate. But you're the only person in the estate, so you don't have to argue with it.
That's a dream situation right there. Let's go into how rare that is, first of all.
Yeah. I could tell you a story about that right now, but we're going to go off camera for that story. I'm not going to tell you. Too many people watch my videos to get into that story. All right, so you have the ring. Let's say it's a sapphire ring. And we need to bury Grandma. Okay, so you want to take this? It's a nice sapphire. You have an appraisal. Let's say, for argument's sake, it's worth $1,000. That's the ring, and the sapphire obviously is not a big sapphire.
How did you determine that value?
No, I didn't determine the value. That's what the appraisal says.
Okay,
and did I not say that?
Well, you said there was an appraisal.
There's an appraisal that says it's worth $1,000. Okay. Now you're saying to yourself, I'm going to get $1,000. I'm going to take it to a jeweler.
You're not going to get $1,000. Okay. Long story short, you will not get that $1,000.
Okay, so why did the jeweler make $1,000 appraisal? What is that appraisal for?
More than likely, it's going to be a retail replacement insurance appraisal. Okay. So you own the ring. You wanted or Grandma owned the ring at the time. She wanted to make sure that in case it got lost or stolen, she could replace it. So the insurance replacement appraisal, it should list all the pertinent information, the weight of the ring, the gold content of the ring, whether it's 10, 14, 18 karat gold, silver, platinum, white gold, yellow gold, green gold, all that stuff. It should list, I don't want to say individually, but it should break down the different parts of the ring if it has stones. If it's an engagement ring, is it a solitaire? Does it have side stones?
It should have a picture.
Ideally, it should have a picture in color, hopefully.
Yes.
In Grandma's case, this was a sapphire ring, so it should list the sapphire with its dimensions and approximate weight. It should go into details like the color, how clean it is, if it's eye clean, or if it's heavily included. And then it should list all if there's, again, accent stones, diamonds.
Right. So the purpose of this appraisal was to make Grandma whole. When she dropped it down the garbage disposal, turned the garbage disposal on, and turned it to mincemeat.
Right.
Okay, so there should be enough money. That's why you update appraisals, that you could bring that paperwork to a jeweler. Then the insurance company may send you a jeweler. The insurance company may have their own jewelers, that they can reproduce that ring for that amount.
Right.
Okay. So let's say Grandma bought that ring a year before she passed on, and she paid $1,000 for it.
Well, in that case,
but hang on, you haven't gotten the other half of this.
Okay.
But the jeweler said it was worth $5,000.
That is a very, very, I don't want to say common occurrence, but it does happen
more often than not,
which is unfortunate. If Grandma went to the store and paid $1,000, and that jeweler, that store gave her an appraisal saying that it was worth $5,000.
Yes, giving your grandmother a great deal. It's worth $5,000. Here's the paperwork for your insurance company. It's worth $5,000. So what's wrong with this picture?
That is an overly inflated appraisal. Why would a jeweler or a store sell you a $5,000 ring for $1,000?
Because you're used to, as a customer, of these stupid sales in the jewelry industry that don't exist.
Right.
But the problem here, the hidden problem, is Grandma is paying insurance premiums on a $5,000 ring
that can be replaced for
$1,000, and the insurance company is not going to pay you $5,000. The insurance company is going to have the ring made for $500.
Right.
Because that's what they do. Right. And so you've been overpaying. And we've had customers come in here that we talk appraisals. And I think I got that appraisal guy from you. You recommended that I sent the customer down because I looked at the ring and she showed me the appraisal. And I'm saying, that's a feel-good appraisal.
Yeah.
You feel good that you got a good deal on it, but
And those are actually illegal.
Yeah, yeah, but they're not prosecuted.
Right,
Illegal,
well,
they're
that's
not prosecuted.
that's
There are a lot worse crimes out there than
Right.
puffery.
Exactly.
That would be like major puffery.
Right.
What they should do, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is the jeweler that sold it to her should give her a receipt with all the details on it, and it's not an insurance replacement, it is what they paid for it, documentation what they paid for it, and she could use that to get insurance on it, right?
It depends on the insurance company.
Yeah.
A lot of them will require this is weird to me, a graduate gemologist to do the appraisal.
Yeah.
But just because you're a graduate gemologist, and I'm a graduate jeweler gemologist from GIA, that doesn't automatically grant you knowledge on how to properly appraise a piece of jewelry.
No, it grants you knowledge on telling us what the stone is.
Exactly.
And then usually a jeweler from that point that's in the marketplace can go
Right.
and extrapolate the rest of it.
Yes.
Yes. So lesson 1, don't fall for the puffery.
Right.
Get a second, and it's not a second opinion. If your insurance company doesn't like the receipt, and hopefully the jeweler, because we used to go, when I was in the retail jewelry business, we used to get very detailed receipts. We didn't call it insurance, we called it insurance replacement form, not an appraisal.
Right.
Because this is it. If you came into our store, we could produce another one for that price.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's exactly the thing.
Right. And she was paying a ridiculous amount of insurance on this piece for no reason. There was no positive on that.
Well, I mean, if again, depending on the insurance company, if the ring got lost and your insurance company was one of those that just automatically writes you a check, then
Do they do that?
some do.
Rare.
Some do, yeah.
I know Julius Mutual is not going to do that, or Federated, or
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have a policy
Jumps
with Julius Mutual. For
yeah,
my
no,
personal
because
stuff,
that's a jeweler. We used to be with Julius Mutual, and they would give us the option of doing with a certain markup
Right.
of doing replacements.
So,
All right, so that's your jewelry's not worth what the appraisal says. I think we could leave it at that. Generally
speaking,
if it's a current appraisal,
yeah, if it's a current appraisal with a current piece, and you got it from the store that sold you the piece, again, why would they sell you a $5,000 ring for $1,000? They're just trying to make you feel good.
But even if they did $1,000 appraisal and you paid $1,000 for, that is not what the ring is worth. That is what it would cost to replace the ring.
But again, it depends on definition of worth. It depends on through what lens you're talking about.
Right, we're talking.
You're looking.
Right,
So
the lens I'm starting to move into
is
into I need money to bury grandma.
right. So let's say grandma
Is
leaves
this
you this.
morbid talking about grandma like this? I apologize if anybody.
I'm sure a lot of people have had this experience.
Yeah.
You know, with a grandmother.
I'm trying to get something realistic.
Exactly. But yeah, let's say grandma left you the ring. You're in a bit of a bind, as a lot of people are today, and you need money for gas or groceries or rent.
Yes.
If to get the most return on grandma's ring, sell it private party.
Absolutely. Find
They will
somebody that-
take that appraisal for $1,000 and say, you know, this was purchased last year. It's got $1,000 appraisal. Grandma just left it to me after she passed. You know, a lot of people at that point, the retail market, they're just looking for a discount off of retail for a nice piece of jewelry.
Yeah, and don't put it on Facebook Marketplace. Trust me. Don't do that. But find friends and family.
Yeah.
Maybe a cousin, you know, always like grandma's ring. Maybe somebody else in the family, because that's going to be your maximum value you're going to get out of it.
Right. You're always going to, a private party sale is always going to be, you're going to get the most value bang for your buck.
Yes.
If you take it to a jeweler or a jewelry store, depending on that store, if they have a market for it, if they have a customer in mind for it, if they need it.
But let's talk consignment, because that's kind of like the next level.
Yeah, like the estate value.
Well, to give it to a store to sell to you for you on consignment.
But you're still going to get generally, again, generalities. You're not going to get.
No, you're not going to get up
for
here.
it.
That's why I'm talking about the next level. It's friends and family, then possibly having a jeweler and take a cut of it to sell it for you. But I'm going to be honest with you, he's going to sell his stuff because he has money invested in his stuff.
Right.
And if he sells yours, he may not cut your check.
But at the same time, the jeweler doesn't have to replace it, for one.
Right.
And it's almost free money for them. Almost.
It is, but the markup's not there. You can't operate on it. I mean, if you want 50-50 with the customer, but now we're talking in another realm.
Right.
Because in consignment, it could sit for 6 months and not sell.
Right.
You could have flipped that money many times in 6 months than giving it to a jeweler. So
right. But so there, if the second value for an appraisal would be an estate value. Let's say you aren't a solo and you had to settle the estate with your brother or your sister. The appraisal you're going to get for tax purposes is going to be an estate appraisal, which is going to be fair market value, which is basically saying, I have this, you want this, what would be a fair price? And it's not going to be as high as retail because it's not a brand new piece of jewelry. You're not going to be factoring in things like labor and manufacturing costs and shipping it across the world and stone cutting. So it's not going to be as high as retail, but it's not going to be a liquidation value like if I had to get rid of it today.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing that we're going to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you go into a jeweler, a lot of it, does the jeweler want this? Right. Let's go from sapphire to diamond because diamond's a little bit more liquid.
Yes.
If it's a 1 carat diamond, does that particular jeweler already have a large stock of 1 carat diamonds? Doesn't need your diamond.
Right.
So it would be kind of important to shop that to other stores. You may find a store that, hey, I'm a little short on these. I'm going to pay a little bit more money to get it from you. But he's still going to pay less than his current supplier for the diamond.
Right.
Because there's absolutely 0 point.
Why would he pay you more for a diamond than he can buy it from his supplier?
Exactly. And he's going to pay less. So he's not going to pay you for the same amount of money. He's going to pay a supplier. Supplier comes in. He's got a choice of maybe 10 1-carat stones. They all may be graded the same, but they all don't look the same.
Oh, very true.
Yeah. So he's going to be able to pick that out. He doesn't have that opportunity with you.
Right.
So that's going to get you more money if he wants the diamond. If he's honest about it and wants the diamond.
Yeah.
And then there's liquidation price,
which is basically the we buy gold. All these pop-ups when gold gets
terrible. And we know people in that.
I used to buy gold. I mean, so I know the game.
Yeah. Buy it as cheap as possible and
which is so.
And get out of town.
Well, herein lies the problem with that. Depending on the location. So where I was, we had to hold it for 30 days.
Right. Yeah, I think Fort Myers is a whole 30 days too.
So even though, let's say you bring in, a handful of gold, let's say the melt value is $1,000, I can't offer you $1,000 for it because if after a month gold goes down a significant amount, I'm losing money.
Yeah, and there's a possibility that's going to happen. Or it's
especially in markets like this where gold is up.
Yeah.
Who knows if it's going to stay there.
Yeah. So when people, I'm not going to say we buy gold. I don't want you to come in here and sell me gold. Okay. We don't buy gold. But if I were buying gold and I had in the past bought gold, we would pay 70%.
Right.
And that would be high.
That's extremely high.
That would be high. A lot of times people would trade. So they would bring in their jewelry and there's not a hold period like for like.
Right.
Okay. So they would bring it in and want something else. We would give, I think, like 90-some%.
Right.
Because we'd be making the profit on the other end and you were using the metal just as a form of currency.
Exactly. You're just paying with gold instead of paper money.
Yeah. So you need to shop it around. And
always get at least two to 5 is a good number without driving yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, if you have something like this that you're trying to sell, 1 out of 20 maybe will give you a price over the phone.
Yeah, and the price over the phone may not be the price anyhow, because and if they're buying by the pennyweight, not that there's anything wrong about it, but it's like an obfuscation, yes, to confuse you because it sounds like it's a higher amount that they're giving you than if it's by the gram, because there's 20 pennyweights in an ounce, there's 31.1 grams in an ounce, so it sounds better in pennyweights. If it's just gold and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, if there's a coin shop in the area, I would go to the coin shop and get a price from them because they're used to working on lower margins.
That is inherent to the bullion and like currency industry, though.
Right. And they may pay higher. And I could be wrong about that. I know Mike Joyce pays fair. I don't know what the amount is. Gulf Coast Coins.
Okay.
They pay fair.
Well, they also have the license to buy the gold. So
They still have to hold it? They still have to hold it, don't they?
probably, yeah.
Yes, I would think so. The reason why they have to, you have to hold it is because it could be stolen.
Right.
And they have to do reports. Reports have to go to the police department. Fingerprints have to be taken. Don't be taken aback when they say, hey, we got to take your fingerprint. And it's just, this is routine.
Yeah.
And you would want it because if somebody stole your item, you would want them to be able to catch a perpetrator.
Exactly.
And if it's a relative, a brother that took it, you better press charges because it's not, you're not going to be able to recover it.
Right.
You got to have a police report. Got to have a police report that it was stolen.
Yes.
That's another conversation. That's not for me. If I had a pawnbroker in here, that would be another conversation with a pawnbroker. That's out of my field.
And it's such a process too, especially if something does come back stolen. Boy, what a production that was.
Yeah, you're like unwinding. There's so much unwinding going on.
Right. And it was funny because all the paperwork we had to do. So if someone brought in, a bag, like a quart-sized Ziploc full of gold, and some of them could have been rings with diamonds or stones, we had to literally 3 gold rope chains.
Yep.
One 18 inches weighs this much. List literally everything piece by piece.
Yep.
That was the worst part.
And don't sell to the road shows.
God, no.
Yeah, because you're not going to get paid anything for it.
No.
Generally, the jeweler that you buy from is the best person to do it with.
Because you already have a relationship.
Yeah, and there's a good chance he's going to say, hey, I could take that diamond ring that you're not engaged for or whatever and make it into a pendant for you so you're not losing any money. Why don't we make something for your daughter instead of losing the money for it? Yeah. And then they could pay you for the gold that it came out of.
Well, I was going to say to that end, if you're trading gold for something else in their store, they'll, just like you said, they'll pay you out a higher percentage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what you should do is trade gold for bullion. I didn't say that.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Yes.
A lot of people actually, some family members have, a nice 3-foot safe that's stacked with silver they've been collecting for a while. So,
you know what I stack? Water. Because if the whole world is coming to an end, I want water and food. What am I going to do with gold and silver? I can't eat it. I can't do anything for it. You want to be able to trade,
trade it for a life straw.
Yeah, but you're not going to trade gold. You'll be able to trade what you do. Right. Back to a barter economy. I collect shells. That's it. I got a store full of shells because that was the original currency. So
it's kind of true. Shells and beads.
Yeah.
Trade beads.
All right. I hope we didn't confuse you guys on this. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section, or you can email us, and we'll help you with it. Yeah. And if you want to know expectations, if you're in our area, you can bring it by the store. A lot of our bead customers do bring in their jewelry, and I give them expectations of what they should be able to get. I don't tell them where to go, but I tell them approximately what you're going to get for it.
And if you're going to go sell somewhere, don't look or act desperate, because that's just going to have someone lowball you.
Absolutely. So,
and like I said, and if you go into somewhere with something to sell, let them know you're going to get multiple offers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, too many people know us in this town that we can't go in and do an undercover and go from store to store. Maybe we could. I'm not that well known in Naples. So
come up to Port Charlotte.
Yeah, well, maybe I'd walk to Steve Duke's place and I was like, Curry, what are you doing here? But no, we should do that. We should do that.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
I've got cameras for that.
Of course you do.
All right, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, the routine.
Yep.
And
like, subscribe, email,
we'll see you in our next video.